Good evening, and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in tonight. You know, the holidays are upon us, and now more than ever, it is so important for us to tap in to our mental, emotional, and our physical health. Tonight's guest is going to discuss his journey to taking care of his mental health and tapping in to self care. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Jeffrey LaPread.
Good evening, y'all.
Hey, Jeffrey,
Hey, Miss Tina.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for saying yes and allowing me to interview you.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. You've been there for us, and we'll be here for you.
Uh, you know I sure enough appreciate it. People take that for granted, you know.
Right.
All right. Well, let's start off by you telling the viewers a little bit about yourself. Oh, first of all, how's the family?
Oh, they're good. Baby's getting big,
Ooh.
goofy, thriving, smart, goofy. Everybody else in the family, they starting their own business. Everybody's doing good.
Oh, really?
hmm
Well, I'm gonna have to get them on the show.
I'm pretty sure
All
they won't
right.
mind.
Way, send them my way.
We'll do.
Well, let's start off by telling the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I get this. I do this all the time, but my name is Jeff. I'll introduce myself. My name is Jeff. That's just how I introduce myself. Some of y'all will get it. Um, Born in North New Jersey. I moved to Atlanta when I was about 11 or 12. It wasn't by choice. I was young. I was hanging with the wrong people. Me and my brother was hanging with the wrong people. So my mom got offered a job to cook for the '96 Olympics. She fell in love with how I was down here. She packed us up and we moved.
Okay,
And I'm here.
and you're here. Okay. And so, did you go to school here? Where'd you go to school?
I went to school. Some of y'all are too young to know what it's called, but it's called Southern Poly, which is now called Kennesaw State
Hmm.
University. Long live SPUSU. Also Georgia Highlands.
Okay.
But yes, I went there. I started there. I started to go there for video game design, but I ended up switching to art because they got rid of the video game design.
Okay. And so, and what was your? So you met majored in art.
Art, yes.
Okay. And then what did you do after Southern Poly?
After Southern Poly, to be transparent, I struggled. I'm not
Hey,
gonna lie
let's
to you.
let's talk about it.
I struggled. I was in and out of the hospital while I was pledging. While I was there, and it wasn't because of pledging. So let's just get that out the way.
Okay.
It wasn't because of pledging. I have an irregular heartbeat, a heart murmur, and I just recently found out some years ago that I have asthma, and you wouldn't be able to tell because I stroll so much. I play basketball, I play football, I'm always on the go. So it took the army to bring it out that I have asthma. But like I said, in and out of the hospital, started a family. That was it, I did a lot of struggling. That's we just gonna put it like
Okay.
that.
What? Hey, I totally understand. Coming out of college, you go in and you get your major, and then
hmm
once you come out, you realize sometimes you cannot find a job in your major, right?
Right.
And then you have to take other jobs,
hmm
right, to make ends meet, right? Because like you
Right.
said, you gotta take care of yourself, and then if you start a family, you gotta take care of your family. So I
Right.
totally understand that. Before we go further, I just want to tell the viewing audience that I had got a message about something's going on with Facebook. So we are streaming live simultaneously on Facebook and on YouTube to True Blue Designs. The logo is at the bottom, and so you can see it live on True Blue Designs on Facebook and on YouTube. So I just want to tell everybody that. Okay. So I know that you are a barber.
Yes.
So let's talk about how you got into the barbering industry.
I was broke. I was in college. It was never a dream or a goal of mine to be a barber whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, before being a barber, I had every job under the sun. I worked on cars. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Olive Garden, summer camps, drove school buses. But while in school, I was pledging. I didn't have a barber at the time. I didn't have a job. So my line brothers and my pro fights used to cut my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point to where they were both too busy to cut my hair. So I borrowed their clippers to cut my hair. And
Really?
it was a trial and error thing. But I didn't think I would be too bad at it because I like paying attention to detail. Because as I
Mhm.
mentioned, I can draw my butt off. I promise you, I can draw a straight line right now. And if I feel like if it's not straight enough, I will erase that line over and over and over again until it's perfect. So cutting my own hair wasn't the issue. I always did a good job cutting my own hair.
Mm-hmm.
So we was getting ready for our coming out show, our probate show, showcase, whatever they call it these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed my hair cut, and the barber charged me $50 for even Steven, and I was not having it whatsoever. So
Wow. $50?
$50 just for he didn't wash my hair, he didn't use a razor, he didn't put no design in it, he did nothing but just make it even and then line me up. So at that time, I got my own clippers, started cutting my own hair, and then one day I was just like, well, if I'm doing a good job cutting my own hair,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to, just to see how it would be to cut somebody else's hair. And my very first two clients was my profile Brendan and my cousin Rodney. And to me, looking at it now, those haircuts were horrible. They were trash. The lines were not straight. The fades were incomplete. The sideburns were not curved right. Like it was horrible. But for them, and I think they were saying it to make me feel better about myself. Of course, they're going to tell me, "Oh, nah, man, this was good. It was good." But I'm like, it was free, so of course it was great. Y'all not trying to kill my pride. So, um, at that point, I just kept practicing and those two haircuts, and then maybe like three more trickled in.
Uh-huh.
And I went to barber school for a little bit, but barber school didn't help because at the school that I was going to, it was just too much going on. I couldn't focus, so I started doing an apprenticeship, and I learned from watching YouTube videos, learning how to cut hair. So that's how I learned to cut.
YouTube videos?
YouTube.
Wow.
Hmm.
They say you can learn anything on YouTube University.
Anything on YouTube, I promise you, anything you need want to learn how to install a battery in the car, cutting hair, anything you want to know, it's on YouTube. But I followed one barber and on YouTube, and ever since then, I've just been getting better and better and learning from other barbers in the shop that I
Right.
work with as well.
Right. Right. So did you when it first started when you first started sharpening your skills, were you mobile or were
Yes.
you in the shop?
At first I was mobile, and my prices were ridiculously cheap because I was not that confident in my haircuts. Like at the time, little boys' haircuts was $5. Um, Adult haircuts were 15, and a lineup was just 10. And that was, mind you, this is Georgia is spacious. So it's like no matter
Uh-huh.
where you were, I was only charging you 5, 10, 15. So I
Wow.
that's just how I learned and try to, build my clientele up.
Right, right. So tell us about the day the prices changed.
The price changed. That's a good one. When I got into my first shop,
Okay.
I went. There's a barbershop across the street from Southern Poly
Mm-hmm.
called Man's World Barbershop on Kyle Parkway,
Mm-hmm.
and it went up. The male haircuts went up to 25, and the kids those stayed kind of cheap because
Mm-hmm.
they're kids, but that was their prices. And mainly the only reason why I left that shop was because working in the shop, you have to either have a license
Okay.
or doing an apprenticeship. And if you don't
Okay.
have neither one of those, you get fined on site $500. And if
Oh
you don't pay
wow.
that, you just can't cut in there. So they
Okay.
didn't do my paperwork, and I left. And at that time, I just cut from home and was mobile for like 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And then yeah, the prices went up after. Once I saw myself getting better and better, because even
Mm-hmm.
today I still watch barber videos to see what I can do better to
Right.
perfect my fades and lineups and all that.
Yeah. You never stop learning,
Right.
you know. Yeah. I think when you feel that you've arrived and you stop learning, you stop growing.
Hmm. You
You
got to
know.
stay uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's true. Everybody take note. Got to stay uncomfortable. That's pretty good.
Hmm. Because I
So
feel
did
if you
you?
get too comfortable, you're just not gonna get anywhere. I like we had a new barber that started today. Now, mind you, I'm confident in what I do now, but I'm like, man, we got a new barber. I gotta outdo this barber somehow. But I mean, it's all friendly competition, but
Yeah.
you just got to stay uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So did later you go back and get certified and take
I'm
tests and all
actually
of that?
all I have to do now is take my test because during an
Okay.
apprenticeship, you have to do well. If you go to barber school, you go to barber school for a year, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take your barber test, and then you get your license. But with an apprenticeship, it switched from 1,500 hours to 3,000 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But being that I work in a 24-hour barbershop, I was
Okay.
able to get my hours out the way. So now all I have to do is go and take my state board test to get my master
Okay.
barber license.
Well, let us be the first to tell you congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
So where is your barbershop located?
It's in Midtown.
Currently where you're cutting it now.
Right. It's in Midtown. It's called 11 Beauty and Barber Lofts on 451 Bishop Street, Atlanta, Georgia, Suite A. It's not just a barbershop. We have estheticians, we have hairstylists, nail techs, lash
Okay.
techs. It's pretty much a one-stop shop. And of course, we have barbers in there. We also have a bartender in there for
Okay.
on Tuesday through Saturdays, and then I also do my funnel cakes in the event space
Okay.
um, throughout the week.
Okay. And we're gonna talk about your funnel cake business.
All
So
right.
the topic of tonight's show is taking care of your mental health.
Okay.
And you and I have been friends for years.
Since I crossed,
Yeah. So and what year was that?
spring 2012.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because see, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So the business was only 3 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know the story.
Right.
But I want you to share a little bit with the viewers about your story. You know, what happened? If you could take us through that journey of your life, you know, and because we're going to talk about what happened, how you took care of yourself, and then how things started to open up for you once you started taking care of Jeffrey.
So, which part of what happened you want? Because a lot
Whichever
happened.
part you want to share. I know it
well,
all, but
well,
whatever part you
honestly,
want to share.
honestly, to put all of it in one story, I spent a lot of my life um living how I think other people think I should live, and that set me back in a really. They put me in a really dark place, a really
Right.
really dark place because if I feel like I wasn't doing, I was a people pleaser.
Okay.
That's the word. If I feel like you wasn't happy with me doing this, I will adjust to make you happy. If you're not happy with me saying this, I will adjust that to make you happy. And I wasn't being real with myself.
Right.
It was driving me crazy. Then it got really bad. So that's began a lot of what happened was me living how everybody else think I should live.
Right. Yeah. And you're not the only one. I mean, I think a lot of us have done that. I mean, I can say that I can attest to that. You know, if you're not trying to please friends, you're trying to please family, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think what happens, Jeffrey, is until you discover who you are
Mm-hmm.
really, and be able to have some self-identification, then I think that's what happens. You end up becoming what other people have molded you into.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm glad that you have taken that journey to be able to discover who Jeffrey is. So, let's talk a little bit about if you can mention just some of the things that happened before you got into your dark place. If we could just talk about some of that.
I would say the first thing that and I could talk about all this now and kind of smile about it, but I will say the first thing that triggered all of this was me taking care of a child for 2 years after finding out he wasn't mine.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that hit a dark, that hit heavy because that little kid that was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I brought him around everybody. I brought him to the Atlanta Greek picnic. We had on
Mm-hmm.
matching Sigma shirts and shoes and everything. Everybody knew him. Bent over backwards for him. Even my darkest days, I found a way to smile for him and make things happen for him, even when I was
Right.
struggling. So I will say that was like the start of everything going bad.
Right. And when you're in those dark places, did you reach out for help? Did people come, and was there anybody around you in your personal space that could um, kind of see that, Jeffrey may be a little off, because sometimes we have people in our personal space
Mm-hmm.
that are really not in tune with us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think I had to learn that too, right? That, part of self-care is evaluating the people that are around you, and to really determine whether or not they're there for your good, right? So was there anyone that did you even go through that where you had to purge people, from your personal space, from your personal environment?
What's crazy is I didn't start quote unquote purging people until I started therapy last year. Um, I was always that person who didn't like being alone. I felt like everybody who was around me had my back. They
Mm-hmm.
listened, that really wasn't the case. But I will say at the time, I had a few people. I had about three or four people that that would call me because I would shut myself out from the world. I would lash out, punch holes in walls, But I did have a few people to check on me. But outside of that, it really wasn't that many.
So tell us about what led you to decide to go to therapy.
Years of depression. Unfortunately, I it was like two attempts of suicide. Um, what made me go to therapy was me going to jail and not thinking about my sons. And realizing I was pushing the wrong people away. Everybody wants to be around when it's time for stroll practice. Everybody wants to be around when it's time to party, but your true people start to show when you start going through stuff.
Yes,
and
that's
my
true.
and my circle went from like the frat down to like 10 people right now, 10
Mm-hmm.
11 people. And I started going to therapy, like I said, because I wasn't thinking about my sons with the decisions that I had made. I was pushing the wrong people away, and the people that I had near me that I was pushing away, they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And when
Right.
you put and those people are very, very hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard to come by. So once
That's
I
true.
realized I started pushing them away, I've had people come to me like, Jeff, we will find you a therapist. I will stick with you through all of it, and they're still here.
Wow. Wow. So how, in what ways do you feel that therapy has helped you? What are some of the things that you learned um, in your therapy sessions? Not details in your therapy sessions, but
No, no.
what are some of the things that you learned that you didn't know before you went to therapy, that you end up learning during your therapy sessions that really helped, that you can share with the audience?
I just had to learn to be real with myself. Just stop being a people pleaser. I've also learned to listen before I react, and even
Mm,
while I'm, even while I'm reacting, react the right way because a lot of people that know me will tell you my temper is like a switch.
mm-hmm.
But since therapy has happened, I listen a lot more. I used to have a rebuttal for everything. Some things I still have a rebuttal for, but I've learned to listen more. I've learned to listen more, and I've learned that growing up, I was a sensitive child. I'm not gonna try to pretend like I was this tough kid. I was strong. I was a very sensitive child. Of course, the cliche story. My dad wasn't there. Um, the whole, you could come and talk to me. I tried the whole come and talk to you thing, and I get told I'm too sensitive, and that messed me up even more because like you telling me I could come talk to you, now you're telling me I'm too sensitive. Now I'm holding stuff in, and now I'm lashing out.
Right.
So now
Right.
therapy has it gave me a lot of unbiased opinions, a lot of solutions to the things I have that I should do. Like I was always in the house. Like I go to work and go home. And
Right.
what's crazy about that is when I didn't have a car, when I was homeless, I was at every party, I was at every probate, I was everywhere because I felt like everybody, everybody had had my back. So I was just surrounding myself with what I thought was love. But going to therapy, I've gotten rid of so many people.
Yeah.
Um, because when I needed them, when I got locked up, nobody was answering their phone. But these few people, that I mentioned, I stay out the house. I get out the house more. I used to stay in the house and be mad. I used to get on social media and just post all kind of negative stuff about, wanting to harm myself, wanting to disappear. And therapy was just like, you need to get out the house. And, I go shoot pool, I go bowling, I take myself on dates.
Yeah.
And that, I used to hate doing it. And, I used to judge people doing that because like I would see people or like I would see them eating by themselves, and I'm like, that's some lonely stuff right there. But what I didn't know was like that is very therapeutic because now I know what
Mhm.
I like and I don't like, and what I will tolerate and what I won't tolerate because I got time to myself to do things I enjoy. I got time to think and process stuff,
Right.
and I go home and I'm at peace and I sleep a lot easier now.
Right. Right. So let's talk about when you were saying that you used to lash out at Facebook. Why do you
Mm.
think that is?
Because I wasn't getting anybody to listen, and I felt like
Mhm.
when I was going to people, every people love to hit you with, I'm here if you need to talk. And I took that to heart. So I was like, okay, cool. I go to talk to them, and you would think this conversation would stay between you and that person, and now everybody else knows. So it's like, well, now I can't
Right.
talk to you because you don't know how to shut up.
Right.
Because I trusted in you to keep what I, shared with you to
Right.
us. But
Confidential. Yeah.
right. So now it's
Hmm.
like now since I can't trust you, I can't trust nobody. So now I'm gonna just lash out on social media. And what's
Right.
crazy about that is because anger to me at the time was a very easy emotion to attach to. And I
Hmm.
didn't care. So putting my business on social media, I didn't care. It's like I tried talking to people. So now y'all
Right.
about to get it.
Right. Right. So
So
would you say that it was a cry for help?
oh yeah, it was definitely a cry for help. But also at the same time, I was very prideful to ask for it verbally.
Okay.
So I was very prideful about therapy for a very, very long time because there's a difference between people telling you you need help and let's go get help. People who tell
That
you
is so true.
you
That
need
is
help make you out to be this psychopath. They feel
yeah.
like you're bipolar. And what a lot of people don't realize is that they're part of the problem.
Mm.
Like
Say it again.
some of them don't know that sometimes, and I'm not going to blame it all on them because a lot of
Right.
the stuff that I went through, I brought on myself.
Right.
But a lot of the people don't realize is that some of the problems that you cause to a person is a reaction of what you're doing to them,
Right.
which is why
Right.
I was
That's
lashing
good.
out the way I was.
That's good.
So,
Yeah.
pride got in the way of me going to therapy for a very, very long time. And it took me going to jail and suicide attempts and not thinking about my sons for me to be like, you know what, okay, I give in, I'm gonna go get help.
Right. So let me ask you right quick about the suicide attempts.
Hmm.
Um, can you tell us a little bit about what you were going through during that time that made you want to, that made you decide that the only way out was to take your life?
Um, I'm gonna try to get through this without
Hey, I got you.
but
I got you.
the first time was taking care of a child that wasn't mine. And the reason why I felt that way at that time was because it made me and my mom bump heads. And I don't mean to put her out like that, but she loved, the child just as much as I did. And once I, started to peep a lot of things and felt like he wasn't my son, I and it made me and my mom argue. It just I felt like I didn't need to be here. I just wasn't happy. I didn't want to be here. I just got out of a bad relationship. I just didn't. That was devastating. You taking care of a child,
Yeah.
struggling for 2 years. Nothing was never good enough for this person. Jumping from job to job, borrowing money from this person, borrowing money from that person, and it still wasn't enough. And then you find out the child is not yours. So,
Right.
I just feel like I didn't need to
Devastating.
be here. Yeah, I just feel like I didn't need to be here. And then the second time, it was just a really, really bad breakup, and I did a lot of drinking. I used to have like 3 or 4 bottles behind my bed, but this night I just took a bottle to the head. I was offered a place to stay, but I told them no. I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to be here. But I know also when I drink, I get really, really sleepy. So I just drank a lot. I drank a whole lot that night. I blacked out behind the wheel, got into a really bad car accident, and
Oh
I did not want to
wow.
wake up. I
Mm.
didn't want to wake up, and I woke up in jail. And those were the longest 4 days of my life. And I think at that moment, I was just like, I need to get it together. I started thinking of the bad example I was setting for my sons, and
Yeah.
it was just some bad. And I have nobody to blame but myself because, like I said, I put myself through these things. It was some things I should have let go, but I didn't. I felt like holding on to it and trying to fix it would make things work, but it didn't. I just made things worse for myself. So that's how I got to those dark places because I brought it on myself.
How many kids did you have at that time?
Oh no, at the
The
time
sons.
you talking about the second attempt?
Yeah.
My
Mm-hmm.
twins.
The twins. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember some of this.
Hmm.
So because you have been through it, Jeffrey, you can speak to it, right? You
Hmm.
can't speak to something that you haven't been through, right? So
Hmm.
we're going to talk about the first episode. You had a situation where you found out that the child wasn't yours. I want you to, there are many people, young men, going through that situation right now today. What if one was sitting in front of you and we have a viewing audience? Can you speak to those people? Can you give some advice to anybody that's listening that's currently going through that situation?
Yeah.
And you're okay because if you're not shedding, you're not human.
um, the best advice I can give is just be careful who you deal with. Honestly, the best advice I can give is wait till you marry. And I mean, I know that's not gonna save a child from not being yours, but I mean, at least if you know the child is yours, you'll have all the rights to him. You
Yeah.
can, you ain't got to go through all kind of crazy loopholes to see your children. But if you're in a situation I'm in to where you finding out the child is not yours, if you feel like you about to sink into a dark place, just get help immediately. I don't care how prideful you are, go get some help. Um, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all.
And also that's a situation where you can't, you should, I'm gonna say you can, but you can't and you shouldn't go
Hmm.
through it alone,
Hmm.
right? And I know several people who have gone through this and they were devastated to know, that they were not the father of the child. And
Hmm.
now you're at a fork in the road, right? What do
Right.
you do? Right? Because if you're at odds with the mother, then
Hmm.
you may want to still be in the child's life, but then will the female allow you to be in the child's life. So it really, like you said, it's really a catch-22. And I've heard the story over and over again. But I want those, if you're watching and you've been in that situation, I want you to hear what Jeffrey said. You know, you've got to seek help. You've got to reach out to people, and don't go through that situation alone, because it could spiral into you doing self-damage to yourself, and maybe hurting others. So I appreciate you sharing that, Jeffrey.
No
And
problem.
I remember that was a hard time for you. And the other thing I want people to also, we're going to go back to something that you said before, because I asked you, why do you think that you were putting those rants on Facebook? And you said because nobody was listening, right? It was like a cry for help. And I think a lot of times on social media, we see some stuff. I know you see it. We see some stuff. We're just like quick to judge the person that's putting it out. But like you said, for some people, it is a cry for help, right? And so if you know those people, then you need to reach out, especially if you know that that's not that person's personality, right? You need to reach out and check on that person and really tap into what's going on. Because
check on your strong friends.
Yeah, because I'm a firm believer, Jeffrey, that the rants and the things that people put on social media is an outward show of what's really going on inwardly. Right. But I'm gonna tell you what I learned. I learned that only people that are in tune with you will figure that out. Right. And if they're not in tune with you, it'll go right over their head. Right.
And it's crazy because it's the people I least expected to check on me.
Yeah.
Checked on me. And to this day, we like, it goes beyond any fraternity and sorority. It's just
people.
Yeah.
And people that God sends, honestly. And like you said, sometimes it doesn't come from who we think it should come from. Right. But I'm just glad that it came for you.
Right.
And those people were around you and were able to love you through it.
And still here.
They're still here. Exactly. Exactly. So you've gone through the valley. You started getting therapy.
Yeah.
Right. And things, when you started working on Jeffrey, doors started open.
Yeah, but I will say, therapy didn't work right away.
Right.
Because remember, I was prideful and I wasn't allowing it to work. So I say about for the first month and a half, I was still giving people, you know what, and
giving them the business.
Yeah, I was still cursing people out. I was still angry. It caused me to argue with a close family member of mine that I never expected to argue with. But I started to allow the therapy to work, and then at that point, I've been a lot happier. You really could not pay me to be pissed off right now.
Wow. How long have you been in therapy?
I started therapy at the end of December last year.
Okay. So it's almost a year. It's probably 11 months. 11 months. Well, a lot has happened in 11 months.
Sir.
And this is the thing, though, Jeffrey. Therapy is a tool, right? That's all it is a tool. But the main thing that happened was that you made a decision to take care of Jeffrey, right? It all started when you made that decision, right? And then, like you said, therapy didn't happen, it didn't click quickly, right?
Right.
It took some time. So therapy is a process, right? It's a process.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So you started going to therapy. You started really taking inventory of Jeffrey. So let's talk about some of the good things that have happened.
Right.
All right. So let's tell the viewers a little bit how you got into the funnel cake business. So how did that happen?
Um, I was at home one day. I was driving school buses and doing barbering full time. I was I'm sorry, there was a really loud knock at the door that I didn't like. But
Okay.
um I wanted a funnel cake, but I didn't want a regular funnel cake.
Hmm.
So I got on YouTube and I was like, I want to see if they have a s'mores funnel cake. And I found the video. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make a funnel cake. And then everybody was like, you know how to make funnel cakes? I was like, yeah, it's not that hard. So I made a funnel cake. I made one for everybody in the house. And
Okay.
when I tell you the house was silent, like my friend went to the store and bought every snack you could think of in Walmart. Bought all kind of can. She bought Twix, Reese's, s'mores, all kind of different syrups and stuff. And I made the funnel cakes that they wanted.
Hmm.
And they was just like, Jeff, this is so good. We didn't know you could make this and blah blah blah. And then my friend goes, well, why don't you make a business out of it? And I was just like,
Wow.
who about to make a business out of making funnel cakes? I was like, it's not that serious. It's a funnel cake. And then the fair came and everybody saw the funnel cake that I had posted that I had
Hmm.
made, and they was like, man, they're not making this at the fair. And the word fair just stuck out in my head. I'm like, well, you know what? The fair only comes once a year.
Yeah.
Nobody really goes to the fair when the fair in town to be like, oh, I can't wait to get on the cyclone or nothing like that. They get
It's
in
the
line for either
food.
a turkey leg or a funnel cake.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me turn this into a business since I done got all this hype off of this one funnel cake I made. So
Right.
I applied for my LLC, and they got approved like a week and a half later. And since then, it's just been taking off. And recently, actually 2 days ago, um, I just got invited to be a vendor for the fair this next spring coming up in May. So I
Now,
will
now,
be
which
a
fair?
vendor.
The Perry Fair or the one that's at the Atlanta Speedway?
The one, whichever's one by the old Brave Stadium, the one that you see right off the highway. The one that
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, the one on the right.
exactly, yep, right
Okay.
across from the stadium.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
So
Okay.
they're there for like a month and a half. So they want me to be a vendor there. I accepted. So now what I'm working on is saving money for
Congratulations.
a truck. Thank you. So I'll be saving up for a bigger fryer and hopefully at least a trailer. That's my goal right now is to at least get a trailer that I can pull along to do for mobile events. So that's my short term goal right now.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put you in contact with somebody who just did that. I'll talk to
Okay.
you about that
Okay.
after the show. Yeah, I got a contact for you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That'll
She
work.
just started a business venture and doing very well. Matter of fact, I think both of you, Claudia Hart, she was on my show once before, but she was
Mhm.
talking about something else. But anyway, I got to get her back on and talk about her new business venture. But yeah, so I'm gonna connect you with her.
That sounds good to me.
Hey, Claudia, Jeffrey's gonna call you. Hey, it's all about networking, isn't
Right.
it?
Right.
Well, congratulations. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Well, that's not the only thing that has happened. So
No.
let's talk about the new thing that has happened. How did you get into the photography business?
This is the crazy story of my photography. So last year, a guy came in from out of town, came to get a haircut, and he left a bag in the barbershop. And
Huh.
I'm goofy. I'm just like, I was like, I'm not touching it. It could be a bomb. I'm not touching it. So the bag was left there from the week of Thanksgiving up until I want to say the week of Valentine's Day. And the owner of the barbershop, which is my cousin-in-law, I asked him, I said, can I look in the bag? He said, yeah, some camera equipment. I didn't think I wasn't thinking an actual camera and lens and stuff that was in there. I'm thinking like film or whatever.
Uh-huh.
There's a whole camera in here with no batteries, like three lenses. So I was just like, Well, it's been in here since November. Has anybody called about it? He said, no, it's been past 30 days. So I was like, well, can I pay for it? And he said, no, it's been past 30 days. You could just have it. So
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, okay. So I looked up the camera. The camera body alone was worth at the time $1,300. Who in
Wow.
a right mind leaves a
Leaves a
$1,300
$1,300
camera
camera. Right.
at a barbershop of all places? And the fact that it stayed in the shop for that long and nobody called for it is crazy to me.
Uh-huh.
So that day I went to Best Buy. I went and bought batteries. I charged them. At first it was just I'm gonna snap this and snap that because with my iPhone I like to just take pictures of random stuff of like nature and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
again, I get on YouTube and I was trying to. I saw this one picture on Instagram, and I really liked how the settings and everything looked for it. And I found a video on how to do it, which is
Hmm.
called off camera flash
Okay.
on YouTube. And I've been watching. And still to this day, I still watch videos on how to perfect that. And like even now, I have to do. I did a wedding so far. I did a maternity milk bath photo shoot.
That was nice. I saw that.
Thank you.
That was really nice.
Thank you. I also did a graduation, and next Saturday I have to do a wine party for Sola's sister from like 10 to 4. I did a couple birthday parties and the frat excuse me, here in Atlanta for the events coming up. They're going to be booking me to do photography for their events there as well.
Okay.
So
So we're gonna
it's
tell
been going well.
I know you've mentioned a lot about frat, and we're just
Mm.
gonna let you say it because everybody does I know, but everybody doesn't know. So you're a member of what fraternity?
Well, D Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated,
All
the
right.
best frat. The
Look, Jeffrey, Blue Pie.
you know.
You know I love doing that. So things have really, really taken off for you. And
It
I
has.
just want to tell you in front of all the viewers, Jeffrey, I am so proud of you. I
Thank
am
you.
so proud of you. I have seen your journey.
And
And
y'all, for those of y'all watching, I know she just said, she's gonna say this in front of all y'all. She also told me this in private, so don't think this is just for the podcast.
I sure did. I sure did. I am so proud of you. I
Thank
really
you.
am. And I'm so glad that during those dark times,
Mhm.
that God still had his hand on you.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
God,
because I definitely lost my faith in him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And I
lost
can
it
understand. I can
the
understand.
day I came home. I was discharged from the army. I was medically discharged from the army, and the day I got home, I can talk about it now. This month on the 19th
Hmm.
is my grandmother's 5-year anniversary of her passing. That
Okay.
was the day I came home. The day I came home from the army, she died.
Oh,
So
wow.
is at that moment I lost my faith. I stopped praying. I stopped.
Hmm.
You couldn't mention God around me at all.
Right.
But
Hmm.
he's still here. I'm
Yeah.
alive.
He never left.
I right. I asked his forgiveness. We working on that relationship right now. We
So I'm
got this Forrest Gump and Jenny relationship going on right now.
So I want you to tell the viewers in your own words, why do you feel that taking care of your mental health is so important?
I feel like it's important because if you don't know you and love you and nobody else is going to do it. Yeah, it took me a long time to love myself. A lot of people will see if you follow me on Instagram. I used to, for a while, stop posting pictures of myself.
Hmm.
I was real unhappy with myself, um, because of the headspace I was in. So I definitely feel like if you in a dark spot, just know, for one, I know what you're going through is rough, but somebody's going through worse.
Right,
Um, and
right.
also just know you're not alone. It's going to take some hard spots to find out who's really there for you, but just know
Hmm.
you're not alone.
Right,
But
right.
when you're in that mind space, just get that help. Don't, like,
Hmm.
I know it's pride that's going to make you feel like you don't need it, but if you questioning if you need it, get it done.
You need it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you question it, you need it. You
yeah.
absolutely need it. Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. And then I think you said this December is going to be a year. This is 2021.
Mm.
So, how have you coped within this last year dealing with the pandemic?
Oh, you talking about dealing with the pandemic, or you talking about just with my grandmother's passing?
Well, I was talking about, the pandemic, because you've been in therapy is going on a
Oh,
year. So,
honestly,
the
with the
pandemic has added more stress, on people.
you want to know what's crazy? I really wasn't that stressed because I had just started being a barber full time.
Okay.
We were able to take our equipment home. I mean, we could take our equipment home at any time, but I
Hmm.
had a station at home. The only thing I didn't like was people knowing where I live. Like even I
Okay.
don't like people knowing unless I invite you, I don't
Yeah.
want you here. That's just
Yeah.
how I've
No, I
always been.
understand.
But to have like random clients in the house, it just didn't sit right with me. But I found out that they opened up the barbershop. But the way
Okay.
I dealt with the pandemic, um, I get bored very easily. So I end up buying a new video game. Um, I started playing Call of Duty. As a matter of fact, I started the funnel cake business during the pandemic. That's
Okay.
when I got my LLC approved, and then I played Call of Duty. That was therapy, and Call of Duty was my outlet.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
just how I made it through my day. Then I watched some cartoons, and then I'm good. But
Right.
I really wasn't stressed because, like I said, as a barber, with if anything, the pandemic opened up the barber industry
Wow.
because a lot of barbers who own barbershops and beauty salons, they were a lot older. They had underlying issues when COVID hit. And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, we were taking a risk, but I mean, everybody needs a haircut. And my thing is like police need a haircut, these congressmen and politicians and all of them need a haircut.
Yeah.
You're not about to tell us we're not essential.
Right.
So honestly, ever since the pandemic, my clientele has gone through the roof.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Because I saw something on the news where Walmart was saying that one of the things, besides toilet tissue, that was flying off the shelf was clippers. Yeah.
Which is why I was glad I had my own. Which is why I was glad I had my own. And that was
Yeah.
another thing. A lot of
Yeah.
clients, I don't know, maybe to clients, my clients, and I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all watching, I'm not trying to down y'all, but y'all not about to downplay my passion. Like they was like, oh well, I'm not coming to the barber shop. I just bought some clippers. I'll
Yeah.
just cut my own hair. I gave them like 2 weeks, and they was back in the barbershop. Now they just got clippers sitting at home. They was like, it's too much work. I don't see how you do it. I
Hey.
don't see how you focus, because cutting your own hair is a lot of
Yeah.
concentration, steady
Yeah.
hand, lighting, mirrors, all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
weeks they were back.
The 2 weeks they were back, and
Yep.
look, and you were deemed essential. Even if you
Yeah.
weren't essential
Oh,
from the government, you was essential from
if
the
you were a barber, I want to say like when they shut the world down, the shop within itself, if I'm not mistaken, we were closed for about a week when they finally shut everything down.
Okay.
But then at the time, it's like, okay, we got these politicians on the news. We got police officers who still need to go to work clean. Who's going to do it for y'all if y'all not doing it for yourselves? So
Right.
they was like, all right, y'all can go back to work, but here's how you have to do it. So we
Okay.
would have people wait in their cars. They'll come in the shop, get their haircut. After every haircut, we clean the seat, call the
Mm-hmm.
next person, tell them to come on in. And we just got really, really busy because a lot of barbershops still to this day are closed because
Oh
a lot
wow.
of the owners were like, they had a lot of them had issues. Some of them passed away.
Right.
So they was like,
Right.
the barbershop's not open no more. I used to go to this barbershop, now I come here. I went from having oh Lord, like 20 clients consistently. Now, like I literally have somebody in my chair every single day.
Oh
And
wow.
I had to force myself to take 2 days off to just so I can get some rest on the
Mm,
weekend.
mm, 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 mm. Wow. Yeah. I told my daughter we were having a conversation at the height of COVID, and I told her that in every chaotic situation, there's always opportunity,
Hmm.
and the question is, do you see it? Right. And there
Mm-hmm.
are some people that did not take advantage of the opportunities
Mm-hmm.
that fell right in their lap due to COVID. COVID, is a bad thing. We're still in it because you've had so many people that have passed away. But on the flip side, you've had so many opportunities, so many doors that have opened for people. And those who could see the opportunity and took advantage of it have walked through those doors and have met needs, right? Because you were meeting a need. And so they met needs of people, and thus, they've done very well for themselves because they've met the need.
I'm gonna say, you know
So,
who should be millionaires right now?
ooh,
People who make face masks. They should be thriving in life right now.
yeah, yeah. Face mask, Lysol.
Hmm.
I still don't get the thing about the toilet tissue. I've asked some
I,
of
I I
everybody.
still don't understand that either. I
I
don't
don't get
know.
it. I
I
don't,
didn't know people was
I
using the bathroom that much to need toilet paper. Like I never. People are fighting over
yeah,
toilet paper. I
yeah,
never understood
yeah.
that.
Bottled water, I do understand, but the
Hmm.
toilet paper, I don't get it.
I
Let
don't.
me ask you this before we go.
Okay.
If you could think of 3 healthy behaviors people can practice to take care of their mental health, what are 3 things that people could do to really take care of their mental health?
One, keep busy.
Hmm.
Because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Like you sit still for too long, and trust me, I'm like the epitome of if going through it was a person, that's me. If I sit still for too long, or if I sat still for too long at that time, I start to overthink things, and it
Hmm.
was just negative thoughts was coming up. So I say keep busy. If it's work, exercise.
Okay.
Um, don't stay stationary. Get out the house. I do something now I've never done in a long time.
What is
Well,
that?
period. Read a book. This is the book I read. And I
Yeah.
hate reading because I will go to sleep in a heartbeat. But this book has been helping me. For y'all men who's
What's
watching,
the name of it?
it's called Self Care for Men and How to Look and Feel Great. So,
Bring it closer to the.
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, self-care.
The
Okay, so I'm just want to make sure everybody can see it. Okay.
Self Care for Men. This ain't no cheat sheet on how to get with a woman in 30, 60, 90 days. This
Which
is
we
just
don't
a book.
need.
Right. Steve Harvey done killed that for everybody.
Yeah.
But this is literally a book on telling you, hey, clip your nails, get your hair cut every week, stop taking showers and take a bath. Pretty much what I'm saying now. If you stop praying, pray some more. And just like I said earlier, for the third thing, I just say stay uncomfortable. If you're not happy with how you feel, you gotta want to be happy, and that's what did it for me because I've been angry, I've cried,
Mhm.
I'd have been depressed, I didn't have my anxiety attacks, I didn't have my suicide attempts. I can't live like that no more. You have to want to be happy, and once you want that for yourself, just go and get it done. And once you
Right,
get it done, the better you'll feel.
right. The other thing I was going to say is that I remember I called you one day
Hmm.
and you were in a car, had no vacation.
I was in the car on a vacation.
Yeah, you were going on a mini vacation and you were saying you needed to get away.
You know what? I might have been going to, and that was another. See, I'm sorry. That was another thing I skipped over. I started traveling this year.
Yeah.
This year in March, I went to Chicago.
Hmm.
That was my first time going, like places I've never been before, and I'm still doing. Like if I haven't been there, I'm going. I went to Chicago. I went to Miami. I've done things I never thought I would do. I went parasailing. I'm afraid of heights,
Oh,
but
wow.
that was the most peaceful thing I could have ever done. I held a parrot on my arm, and I went jet skiing.
Oh,
Then
wow.
after that, I went to another part of Florida, which is where my mom lives. I'm always there though, which is Fort Walton Beach, which is like 12 minutes from Destin, Florida.
Right, right,
Went to Orlando. So now I do things to get out the house. Like I'm going to different places. I'm doing what makes me happy, regardless of what anybody else think. And like I said,
right,
that's what pushed me into depression. I was too worried about what other people think. So
yeah,
now I'm not saying I don't care,
right.
but I'm not about to let your opinion stop my happy at this point.
Amen. That's right. That's right. I'm with you 110%. So, what if someone wants to hire you to come to schools or for your funnel cakes or hire you for photography? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, for barbering, I have a Booksy link. The app is called Booksy, Booksy.
Okay.
If you download that link, you can download the app. There's a link. It's called
Okay. We got it. The problem.
jthebarberatl.booksy.com.
Okay.
But you can just go to my Instagram page and just hit book now, and it'll bring you straight to Booksy. So where to give you
Okay.
all the time, dates, address, and prices. As far as funnel cakes and photography, my email address is in the description on my
Mm-hmm.
page,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll, as soon as you shoot me an email, it'll also have my number on there. You can just hit the button, call now. It'll call my business phone. So if you
Okay.
need me at any events, as long as you call me ahead of time and pay the deposit, that day is locked in.
Call me ahead of time. Pay your deposit.
Right, last minute I cannot do. I'm sorry.
Yes,
All right.
I totally understand that.
I'm sorry. I know I'd be a busy man. I know some of this stuff was last minute, but last minute is like a huge pet peeve for me.
Oh yeah, mine too. Because I think I can't remember how somebody put it, but your fire is not your fire is not my concern. I forgot how they put it, but
Mm,
your crisis,
mm.
is not my crisis. You know what I mean?
Right,
So you got
right.
to give me enough time to be
That's a
able
whole nother
to
conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Look, an hour before this broadcast, I was on the phone with somebody else, and we were
Mm,
talking about, we touched on that same topic. So I
mm,
totally feel you pet peeve. But you know what? I've learned with people like that, the best one of the best words in the English dictionary is no.
mm,
And I've had to learn to be okay with saying no.
mm,
That was something that I had to work through, right? And it's
mm,
okay to say no, right?
mm.
And
I know
and
that now.
once I got it was freeing for me once I got it. Once
Mm,
I got so we're at the end of the show. But I wanted to give you an opportunity. What is one thing or a couple of things before we end that you want to or some advice that you want to give the viewers before we end the show?
again, I will say, anger, depression, anxiety, all that negative stuff. Those are easy emotions to attach to. It's a lot harder to maintain peace, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
So, I stay, again, if you have to question if you need therapy or if you think you need therapy, just put your pride to the side, go get it done. Um, Heck, if y'all need me to talk to, y'all, my information, I believe is still scrolling under here. Y'all can shoot me a DM.
I'll stroll it again.
Right, she'll have it under there. If you need to shoot me a message, go ahead and do it. This is a judgment-free zone. I don't judge because I didn't like being judged, and
Yeah.
even if I wasn't judged, that's still not my place to do so. But just like I said, it's an easy emotion to attach to. Get rid of it. Do your best to maintain peace. Because I promise you, I'm happy. This is the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I'm not saying this because I'm on this podcast. People around me know who I am. I'm
Mhm.
goofy. I'm active with my frat. I love doing what I do with my fraternity. I don't go to work. I'm doing what I love. I
Right.
cut hair. I do my photography. I'm doing this all because I'm happy and it brings me peace.
Mhm.
So do what makes you happy. Don't worry about everybody's opinions. Their opinion is not paying your bills. Um, I mean, it's not just mind the business that pay you. Stay
Oh,
happy.
say that again.
Mind the business that pay you.
Oh, I like that. Mind the
So
business that pays you.
that's all
That
you
was
can
pretty
do.
good.
I mean, it was taught to me. So I mean, just do what you got to do to be happy. Like I said, it's a lot harder to maintain peace, but when you got it, I promise you, you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna
Yeah,
love it, and you're gonna
yeah.
love yourself even more for it.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for saying yes and allowing me to interview you. And
Thank you.
again, I'm just so proud of where you are now. I've seen your journey, and I'm thankful to God that you're on this side of it.
Mm,
And I thank you for sharing, for being so open and raw and sharing what you went through, because I think it's important. I think people need to see that, you know, the young people go through stuff also, and be able to notice the signs, you know, and really reach out and help. Don't judge, just
Mhm.
reach out and help.
Right.
So I want you to stay on because we're getting ready
Mhm.
in, so don't go anywhere.
Okay.
But thank you to the viewers for watching this show. Please like and share. We're on Facebook and uh, Facebook
YouTube.
and YouTube simultaneously. So we're going to say good night, and we will see you next Wednesday. Good night.
Good night.